are. So, my friends, mic is always off to the side at the beginning. Today is a pretty special day. Not only do we have this grad show, but first of all, I gotta lower this here, buddy. But we also have Fabi versus Naka, round one, coming up. It's officially 2:30, but I think the stream is gonna start a little later because of the transmission thing. I don't know how much it's gonna be delayed by, but let's just anticipate it to be delayed. So I feel pretty confident we'll be done by then. Maybe I'll take a break before we start, but people at the dojo, they're obsessed, dude. They're obsessed. And so we'll be looking at those games. I think we're the only people out there who are interested in doing it the right way, which is without the engine, just kind of talking through it. Personally, I like to focus on one game. I might glance at the others, but I really like to focus on one game. So, today, definitely, Fabi and Naka, dude. That's going to be what I'm interested in. Okay, so, boom. This should be working. There we go. All right. So. Let me just get this organized. What are we doing today? Oh, by the way, I just had this up. This is a really cool. I'm really pumped on it. I think more than anybody, I'm pumped on the idea of teams. We have chess. We have a bunch of chess clubs, but I really like the idea of chess teams being on a scoreboard because then they can train together and be competitive not only as individuals but as a team, a unit. And this I just had up. We were looking at it. This gentleman, Lara Monet. This is in Wales, and he was a member of the dojo, and then he got his club to join. Actually, let's refresh and see if they got any more people at it, because this was hours ago. Oh, there we go. We got another one, baby. Anyway, so we have a deal for European teams if they want to join to do it, and then they get like a huge discount. So if you're a European team, boom. U.S. team too, you could do it. We had the offer though for the first 3 European teams to join, and I don't think we have 3 yet. So I thought that would be taken up quicker. That's just all part of my personal little dream to get the teams out there. I really think it's a cool thing. I helped start this local high school team, the Patterson high school team, and they're really cool. I might hang out with them this weekend at the National Elementary Championship, National High School Championship, but it's K-12. All right, so let's get into it. Newsfeed, graduations. Now, by the way, this says 4:10 for next week, and what we did here, I got Jack to shift it to the Wednesday. So it's always anchored to Wednesday because I do the under 1,000 show on Wednesday and then 1,000 plus on Thursday because I'm too big of a weenie to do it all at one time. I can't take it. Just too many hours, and then sometimes I feel like I don't have the ability to really go through the games with the energy that I need to do. Games and profiles. So here we go. We're going to start off here with Captain Blackbeard did it again. No. We're starting here with Lewis F, dude. So we got a lot to do today, my friends. Look at this. Das Debug. Hubskirt's on here. Hubskirt is a hero of the dojo. I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to him. Ultra Slarkin is here. Oh, we got a lot. JT is here. Okay, we got a lot of famous people who are graduating today. Let's read what Lewis F. says. Quad XC, first of all, says, Das Debug might be interested in starting a team in Pakistan. Pakistan is not in the EU. We could figure something out for Das Debug, for sure. And BS Wizzle, there's no way there's 4 draws today, man. Like, Fabi knows that he needs to win, dude. I'm going to punch that. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. So, objectively, I think Fabi's, the one to win the tournament. Fan favorite, even though I didn't put him, I don't give him that great of a chance, but fan favorite, I guess I'm pushing for Naka just because it would piss Magnus off so much. And then Magnus would come out of his little closet, Okay, here we go. Lewis F. says, time to graduate again and keep working. This is the third graduation. Check this out. After completing all the Blender games I will ever have to do. That's right, because after 1,000, no more Blender games. I will use my Elite Chess Classical rating instead of the ChessCom rating, which I'm only using for rapid games. This automatically allows me to graduate. I keep enjoying the structure of the program and the selection of materials. I've also started to make more use of the Discord community. Shout out to Big Dave, who kept pushing me for further analysis and evaluation, and turned a plus review into a coaching session on how to better analyze my games. Okay. My annotations are now much better thanks to him. I just want to stress, it's happening more and more, but the original dream of the dojo was that there's 3 pillars. One of those pillars was plus minus equal, that we would have people looking at the games below them and they would have people looking at their games. And at the beginning, that dream was like, oh, maybe it's not happening as we would have liked it. But now this ecosystem is now big enough and we've got people who themselves have turned into good annotators and then they're helping other people. So it's like, dream coming true over here. Uh-oh, Lewis. I think Lewis is here. Lewis is here. All right. So I also value very much Polgar's mates and Kraai's analysis of games during graduation shows. Thank you. As an opportunity for improving the program, I believe the 900 to 1,000 cohort training plan is short on tactics. Only 75 mates and the usual puzzle rush. This is much less than the previous and following cohorts and likely insufficient at this stage. I initially replaced it with plenty of online puzzles, but it's not the same. So I continued with further Polgar mates and began with the Tactics Time book. A possible solution could be dividing Tactics Time into 2. Okay, good. Now, let me just say, I'm not going to make the full announcement here, but we have some cool stuff coming for Tactics across the dojo for Dojo 3.0. Which was hopefully going to be May 1st. If we have to delay that by a day, I'm not going to be upset, but that's the intended date. And the tactics stuff is really the big one where we're still dialing it in, but there's a grand conception and I think it's beautiful. Now, what I am going to say though, is I'm going to look at the Polgar Rex because that is something that, we're looking at changing a lot of things, but Lewis, I will look at that again and consider, and I'll just say, Lewis says 75 too few. Okay, so I will take a look at that. All right, let's look at what, dude, Lewis, you're flying, man. 52, all right. Me too, my friend. Almost 52. Madrid, nice. This is great. I have in another life, I would have been an economist, something to do with finance in a different life. I don't necessarily regret it. I'm just saying, that's something interests me. Okay, so beautiful. Now, sometimes I look at a graph like this and it just confuses me because I know that Lewis has graduated several times. And so the graph confuses me. But here, I guess, that's maybe how it's happening. I don't know. He mentioned, in fact, something about the fact, actually, these were maybe the prior graduations, and then this is the current graduation. So I get it now because he's going to switch to this. It is true, by the way, that ChessCom Rapid is just a different beast. I'd like to pretend it's the same thing. It's not, because chess.com is basically trying to kill all thinking in the game of chess. They just want to make it faster and faster. And at least the Elite Chess Classical has, the classical is actually a classical. You can play 10-minute chess on ChessCom, and that's considered rapid. Okay, let's look. Activity. All right, we're going to back it down one. Great. And that all looks pretty good. What's he doing non-dojo? Oh, look at this, dude. Okay. Doing a lot of stuff. And as he mentioned, it seems like felt needed to do tactics on the side. That's a great graph, by the way. Really good. Something actually I'm going to look into here. So training plan, and I go tactics, and I go mates in 2, and oh, wait a second. So this would, let's go down 1. So mates in 2, and I'm trying to do a little bit of calculation. So it was like 150. Well, I guess, we're building it up. And he went past the number required for him in the mate in 2s. Okay, that's just for my benefit. I'm going to be looking at that on his suggestion a little deeper. We're dialing things in. Okay, well, let's look. Clubs. Oh, nice. And games. And Louis, do you have a preference of a game? The latest game. Okay. All right, great. So here we go. This is the Lone Wolf League, 30 plus 30. And then great that he's giving a shout out to all these people who helped him. Okay, this should be fun. Let's look at the time graph briefly. Okay, sometimes we look at this and we see that players didn't really think. Well, maybe they could have used a little more time, but let's just leave it at that for a second. So here we go. B6, a little weird. A little weird. A little weird, yeah. Okay, a little weird. So obviously E4 makes a little bit more sense. But we're not going to say anything's drastically wrong with this. Okay, fine. And you're playing these intuitive moves quickly. Good. Black is playing some weird chess. B3. Now, what this looks like to me, Louis, is that you're following a setup, sometimes called the Zukertort, that maybe you're just doing against everything. Which, there's worse things. But one of the things that I aspire for players to learn is just how to play good opening moves. So, for example, after B6, well, that should be your main candidate moves, but those would be the other ones, So, weird, because you're blocking in your bishop. Right? E3, a little weird. And then what I want you to see about this is your position's going to be great no matter what, because black is like doing some funky business. But when you play B3 and E3, you're making 2 pawn moves to get your bishop out, right? I.e., you only needed 2 pawn moves to get all your pieces out, and now you've made 3. But okay, I guess all enough set up. And then you talk about E4, which would make me cry a little bit because you could have done it the 1 move. A4, interesting. And Queen E2. Personally, I think if you don't know what to do, then defaulting to development is a good move. And for example, on A4, if black plays A6, you're kind of back into the same position. You're going to probably play Queen E2. Okay, A6 just so we can push past if white plays A5. The intention of A4 is to develop our rook. So, rook C1. Little funky for me to put the queen on C7 because, you just suddenly don't want to put the queen opposite the rook. No big deal. And now that's a horrendo. Let's read what you write. I was done with development and felt the urge to do something. Okay, we're going to come back to that. And came up with this idea to block the bishop with a tempo. I don't understand how we're blocking the bishop with a tempo, but I'm just going to read on. The way black was developing suggested plans for long castles, and doing so would leave the f-pawn hanging. Okay. Of course, I expected black to play h6 to kick the knight off, and then I would place the knight on e4, which was my actual objective. That way I could block the diagonal for black's bishop. Okay, let's go back for a second. So, let me first say that playing after rook c1, it makes a lot of sense to play c4 because at least you're giving your rook a little scope. It also makes sense to play queen e2. We have no idea where the black king is going. Castle's log looks very suspicious anyway, and knight g5 doesn't really prevent it, you know. Yeah. One thing I really want to stress, I have this problem too, so I'm going to go therapist mode on you, a little bit therapist mode on myself. And so I got this mean Soviet coach, KGB, and he's always on me, dude. He's like, Jesse, why do you always feel the need to do something? You always have to do something. You know, he's on me all the time, and it's true. It's kind of like, you know, is it nervousness or whatever? And I notice too when I play lower rated opponents, they're like trying to do something too. And he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there laughing, old KGB, dude. And when you, I don't know, and you know, that's weird, man. That's what he, so at a slightly higher level, I'm doing the same mistake that you are with knight g5. You're in your head trying to do something. No, just build the position, folks. Just build it. You don't need to do anything. Okay, here we go. Maybe unnecessary, you come back. He snips. You snip. Now, is it better? Is knight e4, bishop e4 better? I don't know. Queen c6. He's going to go for the cheap trick. Queen g4. Now, that makes me nervous. That just makes me nervous. I feel it's probably a little bit more prudent to just play f3. You know? Just play f3. And maybe you felt uncertain here, but it's okay. And, you know, about equal position. And black will now have to decide where they want to put the king. There's no easy options, honestly. This one makes me nervous. Makes me scared. So, g6. I'm just looking. All right, let's pretend it's necessary to play g6. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. Even g5 could be a thought. Yeah, and you talk about DC. One funny thing is maybe queen g4 is fine, but it just makes me nervous, like all get out, because you're setting yourself up for some nasty stuff. Now, further, it's interesting to talk about this g6. Where you could have also played d5. So Stockfish, and well, it's got some reason it doesn't like d5. I don't instantly see, I guess ed is the issue that it doesn't like. But both of these moves should be considered. I like, by the way, a lot what you're saying with post-analysis. So let me just explain to people who don't know. You really want to put your own thoughts first, and then if you do use the engine, make it clear that it's the engine saying this, right? And so what this means is Lewis didn't really look at either d5 or dc in the game or in the notes, right? And so f3 is like a safety move. And let's just go back. Queen g4, it turns out, is an exclam. I didn't, it made me nervous, but it's an exclam because there's no simple way for black to defend this pawn. And I guess the real questione of the day is, what would have happened on castle? Would you have the coconuts to take that pawn? I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to have some really big coconuts to take that pawn, but maybe you can. Okay, so here we go, f3. Knight f6. Okay, so knight f6. And this is very comforting to you, not only because it looks like a tactical mistake, but because it's a loss of tempo. And in a way, it's a loss of more than one tempo, because now you don't have to worry about F5 anymore. So the kind of key question is, well, what about that move? And yes, it's just a mess now. We're dealing with a mess. Okay, knight F6. And now you took the thing. And I got questions. I got questions. So you played bishop G6, but I got questions. What? I feel like I must be missing something. What's wrong with D5? Doesn't that win a coconut? That wins a coconut, right? It's weird that, I don't know. It's something about that move you didn't consider on the earlier part too, right? Like this, probably earlier it didn't work out, but here it looks like we're just hanging the coconuts. Maybe I'm missing some, but it looks like a full coconut loss here. And bishop G6 is very complicated, you know? Yeah. So, bishop G6. That's great, by the way, that you guys did a post analysis. And Stockfish talks about queen D7. But queen D7 is just admitting it's admitting defeat, you know. So, what I want to ask is what was your intention here? I assume it's like queen E6, bishop E7, D5. But the reason I'm asking is it was already weird that you didn't do the D5 earlier. So I was like, well, we're going to do D5 now, right? Yeah. Okay, rook G8, and then you missed queen takes E6. Oh, no. Yeah, queen takes E6, shared by Shabia after he checked with the engine after the game. So, yeah, this is, by the way, Shabia, you should have kept your mouth shut so that Lewis could have found it on his own, you know, because that's the big one right there. That, to me, is the whole idea of it. Ketzbag, thank you for subscribing. Bishop F7, now I have no idea what's happening, or I had a feeling. So then we go activity, and we're going to see how they did it. I have a feeling they're not logging all their stuff. You know what I find? As we go up the cohort list, we get people who are logging their business less. The people at the lower cohorts are much more diligent about logging it. And here, for yourself and for me, I know you did more than this, right? So let's go games. For example, you did 6 games. That's not, you didn't write that down, boss. Okay, Jose, let's take a look at one of your games here. 77 moves. Oh, I'm scared of that. I'm scared of that. Let's do a little lighter one with Jose being black over here. Oh, no, wait, that isn't it. Are they all like that? Oh, no. Jose, buddy, this doesn't count. This no lo puedo, bud. No lo puedo, Jose. Yeah. Oh, and there's Phigius, too. And then here, there's a computer analysis of the game with Phigius. Okay, Jose. Well, let's think about this. So, activity, you joined almost a year ago. And I think you might have, there's some people, right? Especially we get a little higher in the cohorts, right? They join it and then they're not fully committed and they're just bouncing in and out. Sometimes they come in, sometimes they don't. In any case, Jose, I strongly encourage you to go for it, get those OTB games in, and write them up. Write them up. Okay, next person. So now we have CF or C Fanny, and we're getting some high graduations here today. So here's Fanny Man, and let's always start with the clubs. Always fun. U.S. Evening Dojo activity. And here too, things aren't fully logged, at least not with the time. But this is a good macro distribution. Yeah, let's just click around here a little bit. Okay. Oh, I'm so pumped, you guys. We have something cool coming for the tactics. Oh, it's gonna be good, dude. It's gonna be really good. Okay, let's go into games. No, oh, see Fanny, unfollow, unfollow. Well, see Fanny, I can just tell you. Here's an interesting thing. We're writing this book, How to Analyze Your Games, and something really interesting is you would think that the people who are just beginning their chess journey would have a harder time annotating their games than those who are higher rated. Totally valid first intuition. And Pruess wrote a whole chapter based on that intuition, which wasn't based in the reality, which is that as you go up the rating cohorts, you actually have less people being either doing it at all or being diligent about it. And what I think it is, and I know this was the case for myself, that it really took a long time, basically a period of me not making any progress before I really had to dig down and say, boss, we're going to force yourself to do this. Because after you have a certain rating, like C. Fanny does here, you're like, I'm pretty good. I have a sense of who I am as a chess player. But then to look at your games, well, it's going to be traumatic. If you're just, let's say, 700 and you haven't put in 10,000 hours or whatever many hours yet, it's not going to be as traumatic to look at yourself. But if you're already here, I'm sure C. Fanny has put a lot of work into their chess. It's part of their identity. And then having to analyze your games, it's like, oh, buddy, that's going to be rough. So it's this really interesting thing where it's the reverse of what your first intuition would be. So first intuition, people who are higher rated are into looking at their games. No, exact reverse. And that's what the database shows. The lower cohorts, and they're doing the work. They're doing the work. Okay. So let's, I didn't do this slight. I did a slight incorrectamundo. It's not the first time. Okay, so I have to click back. I got to go here. I got to go here. All right. It's an inaccuracy, not a blunder when I do it that way. So next up, we have Steen. I like your focus on annotating games. It takes some hard work, but it is worth it. Also, I have realized through the dojo that I need to play far more games rather than just study. So, okay, Steen. Advancing to a high cohort here, 1810. FIDE boost. Look at that, that's a FIDE boost. Fang, fang, Okay, get the FIDE boost. All right. So, activity. Oh, they haven't done much. 47 hours of the game's analysis. Okay, good. Clubs. No clubs. So, hopefully we'll see some games over here. So, all right, this looks fine. Great. By the way, I just want to say it again. Check it out, Nose. Jack has developed it, boss. I'm even kind of scared to do the first one. I'm kind of scared to do the first one. Let's get into it. I promise. I'm going to try it at one. This is Jack's new comment system. Okay, bishop f5. e6, great. Castles, c5. Mildly, no, that's controversial. After the game, I realized this is a bit too early. It might be better to play bishop e7 first and castle before playing c5. Okay, so let me try to explain this. By the way, we don't talk too much about openings in the under 1,000. We don't talk about it all. Now we can talk about some openings. Like this is where it's important. Okay, so let's talk about the way I'll explain it is the Catalan. Let's just say we played this move. Well, let's just say we played that move. and we get this standard position. There's a million different ways white can play it. Let's just put this position on the board. It's been there millions of games have happened this way. So the claim for black is that this bad boy is shut down and that will eventually get out of dodge this way. Maybe white has a small advantage. We can argue about it. But when we then look at your position, now we see where we're going, right? Because now the bishop is out. Our bad bishop is out. So we have a very simple setup. And when you play here, if you're going to move the c pawn at all, it should probably be to c6. And so, for example, bishop e7, c4, c6 would be a totally reasonable move. Yeah, you're doing great. And any kind of knight h4, you could give it to him that way, or you could give it to him that way. You're fine. You're a rock. Look at this. That is a rock that this bishop is hitting. It's so as a Catalan player, it's just a beast. And you're just hoping that somehow that thing gets out of the way someday. Okay, so exclam, c4, good move. Now we're in a little bit of trouble, and not only, now this is tender, and there's Catalan pressure now, and this bishop might get whacked if we ever, allow this knight to come over here. All right, knight c6, knight c3, looks good. I have some questions. Bishop e7. And now knight h4 looks like a pure blunder. Or at least just not. Well, maybe it works. We'll see. We'll see. Knight h4, maybe. I mean, that's at the minimum a highfalutin move. At the minimum. Maybe it works. Let's see. I have, just on my experience of this position, I would suspect there are ways to mess with black in a more concrete fashion. So, probably CD, ED, Queen b3. We're going to touch this coconut. We can also play DC first. Your choice, honestly. Your choice. And I think there's coconuts that are going to fall. There's coconuts that are going to fall. Yeah. Okay. Now, this may be, if that's true, if this works, that's a double exclam move, If it works, it works. Maybe it works. That might be a really if this knight h4 works, it's truly like amazing. Yeah. Knight h4 might be a nice move, man. So let's talk about if it's a genius move, why it might be a genius move. On CD, he's going to play this one. And he's going to say, that's such a big threat that you have to deal with it. And of course, if you deal with it that way, this bishop is gone. Whew, it's highfalutin. Wow. It might work, dude. And then in the game, it goes knight d4, knight f5, cd5. And we're positionally hosed because the knight on f5 is misplaced. And the light square bishop on g2 is now super angry. Nice to compare the position we had earlier with the pawn on c6, right? Now this bishop is just pissed. Pissed. Okay, so knight h4, double. I think it might be a double exclam, honestly. Because if we just do something like this, then pop. We're not going to get mated on h2. Don't worry about that. Pop. I don't know what you're supposed to do. And then pop, and I'm winning your coconut. I'm going to win a coconut. And maybe more importantly, this bad boy is all lit up. Okay, well, let's look at the game. Pop, 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 pop. Beautiful play by white. Knight d5. One thing I think I would have been tempted by here for black is to castle and see if he takes my bishop on e7. Now it's true, the two bishops are strong, but this would be a developing move. And this would ask white a little bit, I feel a little bit more questions about how the advantage is going to proceed. And I don't want to take on d5 if I don't have to, because I'm inviting either the queen or the bishop to that amazing square. I think this is a big choice for white. Queen d5 is guaranteed pain. Guaranteed pain. Bishop d5 looks like guaranteed pain too, though. So let's just say bishop d5. Knight d6. Bishop e3. Boom. Rook c1. Rook c8. Now, if we take him with the queen, this pawn would be completely undefended. This looks superficial. Bishop d2. And, you know, for the purposes of analysis, we would want to spend some time here thinking about how white could have played it maybe a little bit more interesting. I am not convinced by this maneuver with bishop d2, c3, because we're in control of our coconuts on the king side for the moment. And you're going to be maybe victimized by knight b5. I'm just thinking about it for a second. No, but it's also not super simple how to do it. Okay, but we are looking at this game from black's perspective. Bishop d2. b5, I don't like it because we're taking away the b5 square from our knight, which we're going to want to slap this bishop with, right? Like here, just as an example, if we had put this thing here, 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 bam! And now we're totally fine. This is why bishop c3 did not impress, right? Okay, so now we are legitimately in a little bit grief. Queen g4 is a natural move. Oh, we abandoned our knight. This isn't going to go well. Queen h5. This white's player, well, maybe you could play queen h5. And good move, bishop f7. Nice move. You know, and for your annotations, you should put not what the computer says, but like what your thoughts were when this went down. I think it's, let's look, bishop f7. Let's call that forced. Check the miserable king. Now he's got two choices. Let's put this one in for a second. And when you view it from white's perspective, you know, white's going to have a nice position in the game. So here he would have to feel like, oh, I really got this guy. And so he would want to find a move here. Even if you believe white's position, you know, imagine you're playing the game. You're going to want to find something concrete. So, for example, does f4, f5 do the job? That would be a nice thing to do if we could make that work. Anyways, that would be a subject of a variation. Queen f3, knight d6, bishop e5. I don't know about this move, because your queen needs to come back anyway, and we never, unless we're going to win something concrete, we never want to be taking that knight. So one very basic question is, does e5 win on the spot? It looks like some tasty coconuts to me, if you know what I mean. Right? This looks terrible. Knight f5, g4. Also, knight f5, e6 looks like a hell of a drug, you know? Okay, so bishop e5. Your opponent is making, I think, superficial threats. Boom, good move. H4, good. He could have done that last move too. B5, okay, good. Good. H5, bishop G5. No, he's letting you trade off some pieces. Oh, what a joy. What a joy. Oh, you might not be done yet here, son. Now you play C4, and the thing that makes me nervous about C4 is you are allowing the queen to come to this square. And I don't know how you get the queen out. So my first intuition would be queen E7. And on C4, my intuition for white would be queen F6. And oh, buddy, that looks like a hell of a drug right there, queen F6. That's just like, I don't know. I don't think we're living through that coconut field. You know what I'm saying, right? So, pop, pop. Queen F6 there is brutal. Rook H1. Queen G7, good. I think that's your best try. And now you're just like, nah, he's not going to mate me. He's probably going to mate you. Let's see if he's able to finish you off, though. Rook H8. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I have to admit, I think I've actually seen this game before. That's just, Kraai saying, I remember this final end. And so I talked through that whole thing, gave that amazing explanation. Probably already did it before. And Abdul asked, boss, did white have bishop b6 instead of bishop f4 and hope to kill black? I'm sure he did. There was lots of things that white had. There were lots of things. Okay, but that was Steen. Maybe I did. Because it was like a month or so ago, a couple months ago. Anyways, we're wishing Steen the best. And here we go. Chess Tim. Now, Chess Tim, on the other hand, is doing some work, as is Hubskirt. I'm pumped to go over Hubskirt. We're going to talk about Hubskirt in a second. So, Chess Tim. Silatope says, don't stop before that. I usually don't stop, okay? But yesterday there was a reason. We had a reason. Okay. Playing chess since I was 7. Enjoy playing both serious and casual. Okay, great. I remember Chess Tim. This is definitely a FIDE boost. That's what a FIDE boost looks like here. Clubs? No. Activity? We'll go down one. That's great work right there. That's really great work. And so a lot of opening stuff has been done. 283 hours. And if anything, we could say in terms of the macro diet, right, that these are all missing a little bit, just in comparison to the others. All right, let's take a look at what's going on with Chess Tim. All right, this was played fairly recently against a stronger player. All right, so here we go. And I promised myself I'd make a comment, but I didn't have the courage. This time I am. Now, we saw this variation. Oh my God, I've seen this. I've seen this one. Time out. I've seen it. I remember the thing where it says in the kid spirit, time out, we're going back. Look at that. I think Chess Tim, I don't know. I don't know how I came up on Chess Tim, but in any case, I do remember that game. So let's do a different one. Now, usually we like to see something before we get to move 15. Anyways, we're playing a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, excuse me. So, okay, it's a little bit slow, but we're not going to say anything. Fine, fine, fine. Now, White's playing, let's call it a standard setup from the old Soviet days against the King's Indian. Queen C7 doesn't make too much sense to me. And Bishop B2, I don't like. I think it might not. No, it's a no bueno. So it's very natural, of course, to put the bishop on b2 because it feels like we're developing something. But the problem is that we, in this setup, are really looking to play b5. And we can either play that b5 move now or play knight d2 first. And what it really is a like a reverse closed Sicilian. And white has got the jump on it. The queen is misplaced on c7. And when we're ready, we'll play b5. And it will be, and you can see that if we're going to play b5, well, we don't really want to put the bishop on b2. Now, maybe there's some virtues. Let's give bishop b2 a chance. I think if there's a virtue to bishop b2, it's maybe we play rook a1 and try to grab the a file. So, Tim goes here, rook a1, okay, bishop e6, and now c5. Okay, so let's say the obvious. This knight f8 move, it's not the happiest piece, right? And c5 is a very frisky move that I am definitely not sure of. You talk a little bit about b5. I was thinking, by the way, if we're going to do this, bishop b2, rook e8. This way, you could at least win the a file, you know. Again, I don't like this as much as the other plan, but, you know, you could at least say you're winning the a file. Whereas after now you're not winning the a file. And then now you do something funky. You do a real committal move here. d5. And now it gets a little funky here. So you write about rook a8, knight e5. Queen e5, knight d5. That's fun. Knight d5, bishop e5, bishop e5. And we have to ask who's better. Hard to say. Depends if white can organize e3, b4 fast enough. Maybe. Maybe. Hard to say. Okay. So, but as he points out, it doesn't work because of d4. It would be good in the annotations to say, like, oh, this was my intention on c5. You know. Okay, so d5, because knight a4, that doesn't look like that's right. Kid plays knight 6 d7, knight 8 d7, also a thing. And so what worries me about your position is that you got spatial grief, and this knight is misplaced. And now you talk about e4. E4 is definitely not a good idea because then he kills your bishop here. And then this guy really, no one knows. You're going to have to do something nasty like this and go back and, you know, the whole thing. So knight g5. What I like about knight g5 is less the hunting of the bishop and more that since you have less space now, you need to start thinking about trading some stuff off. Okay, kid plays h6. Develops his knight. And now you go bishop h3. Okay. Boom. Good move. I guess we should evaluate. I don't know. I would say black's either a little bit better or clearly better here. Now you take. So here's the thing. When you take the thing, you have at least a symbolic hope of an advantage. And when I say advantage, I mean a trump, I guess you could call it. a hope of a later trump of the light squares opening, right? You do need to worry about knight d4, and bishop h3 actually prevents knight d4. We could talk about why that is. But e3, to me, looks like kind of a little safety move that we could pull out there. So bishop a3, rook a6, and it's starting to hurt a little bit, right? Snip. Now we lost that thing. He goes back, good move. I think, actually, I gotta think about it a little bit. So let's just say, now both of your minor pieces are poor, right? And he is doing fine. Why you like rook e8 should probably be explained. It's not 100%, it's not a slam dunk to me why that's such an amazing move. I like the h5 ideas. So yeah, I don't understand this. Why? Because now you at least have something to talk to. And now you play bishop a3. And you write about bishop c1. That's definitely unpleasant. So you think you're equal after bishop c1. And if you are, it's because he gave himself this weakness, right? But there's a lot of questions here. Well, black really did himself wrong by giving you that a6 pawn to tickle. Notice that on e4, white has bishop f4, so that would at least complicate things. Okay, Kraai, let it go. Let it go, man, let it go. Yeah. Okay, so bishop a3, e4. c1, pop, pop, queen c8. There's actually these moves I feel like are very debatable. Good move. So it's at least a scary looking move. That's fancy. That's also pretty good. And now this kid's working you, man. This kid's working you good now. Oh. Now you're talking about h4, and that maybe the kid's you've got a fortress now. Okay, now this is interesting. Do we think this is a fortress? Well, interesting. Is it? So, by the way, this has to be better annotated. Now, yeah, let me just be a jerk here, Tim. Is it a fortress? Maybe. Maybe. But there's so much interesting things that we can ask in this position about whether it's a fortress or not. And we could learn, well, we'll learn all about fortresses. Yeah. So, so for example, queen f3 is interesting, but let's say queen d2, I think that's forced. The first thing I would like to experiment with would be a5. And the point is now your rook is tied down and we got rid of our nasty pawn. So is this a fortress? I don't know. You're going to have to sit. Let's assume you sit with h4. Now we'll have an interesting question of, can black make progress? My gut is that, yeah, because you have to sit. You're sitting, son. And I'm going to bring my king to b5 is where I'm going to go. Right? So my queen will wiggle somewhere in here, and then we're going to swing all the way around. Your pieces can't move. There's no counterplay. And once I tickle you, then the rook won't, then I'll be threatening to take the rook with the queen. Right? Yeah. So he just kind of, okay, he got that. Okay, now this G5 idea is always a thought. There's no rush for it. Well, he just gave up. Kid gave up. What are we doing? All right, you guys, I got to take a small potty break, and then I will be right back.
Welcome to the dojo. Check out Joe, he's a Reddit bro, likes to edit posts, and he starts to gloat when he gets the most of votes or likes. Yeah, he's really hyped, really psyched, cause the crowd is really tight and the work is really light. His training plan is the first thing your eyes see, cause he got more follows than my boy Eric Dicey. Opinions on Magnus, Hans, and Karyakin. Who cheated who, which engine that he hacking. He got blocked by Short, ignored by Dvorak, but he can't be wrong. He scored a like from Truong. He's got lightning attacks on GM blunders and gaffes. True, not over the board, it's only the other chat. Still his 7-year plan ensures the last laugh. Distractions detract from any actual actions. Excuses are useless, he rues his inaction. Awaits satisfaction, the status of Magnus. He bought 50 books and opened up 10. Fools ought to read Psalms, not my system. He's got 30 alt accounts on every site around. Chessable courses keep looking cheaper by the pound. He got 22 databases and 36 engines, 25 chess sets, and a massive clock collection. He bought merch from Gotham, Bra and Naka, but his game history looked like some chess copy pasta. A GM coach that he don't listen to, and if you think it is, then yes, my friend, yes, this is you. But that all changed one bright sunny day when a friend said, hey, don't you know, welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. Sweatwork's what I believe, waiting's what I'll receive. Don't you know, welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I stepped away from easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. If sweatwork's what I believe, waiting's what I'll receive. So Joe got into the business, stopped the app sickness, daily practices rhythm, he even upped his fitness. He found sparring cathartic, postmortems charming. With the plus equal minus, he was armed for elo farming. With notepad and pen, he built up calluses, escape rating paralysis. With lengthy game analysis, with sensei direction, he sold his collection. Read one classic and that was fantastic. Now he locked to the spot where they checking off boxes. Young prodigies and some wily old foxes. 3.5 points per box, that's shocking progress. Goal nearing, cohort cheering, Joe doesn't hear it. He's monotasking, no relaxing, concentration maxing. One book, one board, one set, one thought. Work will work will work, work never stop. One book, one board, one set, one thought. Work will work will work, work never stop. Now occasionally he peeps the world of the tweet and laughs when he sees the player that he used to be. Blank face staring, complex plans comparing while he's dojo training. Hours a day playing out positions, transpositions, and growing his board vision. Transition from poser to player, focus without a care. He leaves them complaining in his dust, staying with their week-old ratings. Blast past his week-old rating, each week's a new occasion. He never takes vacation, the work is entertaining, the growth he's maintaining. And now Joe is explaining, hey, don't you know, welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. If sweatwork's what I believe, waiting's what I'll receive. Don't you know, welcome to the dojo, it's good to grow. Welcome to the dojo, I gave up on the easy. Sweatwork's what we need, G. If sweatwork's what I believe, rating's what I'll receive. Welcome to the dojo.
All right, here we go. So let's go back and I almost missed the marked as reviewed, Tim. I almost blew it. All right, Tim. You know what you got to do, buddy. Oh, no, here's Hupskirt. Now, let me just say, Hupskirt is, in my eyes, a hero of the dojo. So let me just say, All right. Actually, here, let me digress. So we have done, when we did Dojo 2.0, we did a big analysis of which, at that point it was boxes. Which boxes do people check was most correlated with rating game? And from the beginning, I felt the rook endgame progression for people 1600 plus would be the way. So like you spend some time on that, boom, you're gonna make it. The rook endgame progression, though, as I designed it, was not user-friendly enough. And it was really only a couple people who did it. It wasn't user-friendly enough because I didn't really reckon on the social and mechanical problems, organizational problems of like playing a longer match. So for 3.0, it's going to be shorter. In any case, Hubskirt really dove in, did a very nice study on the rook endgame progression, created some interesting positions that I'm looking at now that, you know, he was like, this should be in there too. These are really fun to spar with. And what's also cool is he is crushing people now, OTB, using the rook endgame progression. And it's a remarkable thing where, you know, in terms of endgames, it is the one you're going to get. Rook endgames are by far the most common. It is the one you're going to get. And in my own personal case, I feel like I got to review it pretty often because it needs to be at the base of your fingertips because you're almost always not going to have any time when this endgame goes down, right? And it leads above that to a kind of confidence in the endgame. So like you're not afraid to go into the endgame. And so many players, actually I feel like a lot of the opening crazies out there are going crazy with the opening because they're like, well, I got to win the opening, got to win the game now because if it gets to the end game, no clue. And there's a kind of terror to the rook end game, honestly, because it's like it's a different kind of chess. You know, it's chess, but it's got its own special rules. Anyway, so Hubskirt's really dialed in. Let's read what he says. I didn't spend as much time in this band as the previous one. I've been on a great run fighting for first place in my club championships and scoring well in matches versus other clubs. After going 7-7 in our National League competition, I got my first FIDE rating of 2185. Due to the 100% performance, it's quite inflated, so I expect it to come down a lot as my rating settles. Dude, that's amazing. 7 of 7. That's really it, man. In this band, I've mostly worked on endgames, especially the rook endgame progressions. The REP positions have actually shown up in my OTB games, but more importantly, they give me the confidence to take games to the endgame. Inspired by the REP sparring, I made an interactive study on how to win every REP match. Feel free to check it out and let me know what you think. There we go. Yeah. So, really well done, Hubskirt. Let's take a look at what's going on with Hubskirt. So, he's got a Dutch rating, and that's, I guess, this custom rating. Yeah, and obviously doing great. And there's the FIDE. Now, by the way, that is not a FIDE boost. That's simply his first FIDE rating, man. And 2185, that's not a chump rating. Also has an English Chess Federation rating. I thought that actually Hubskirt in my head, he was from England. Let's just look at the clubs here. Dutch Dojo, okay. But that's why, because he's also in the UK Dojo. You know, it's a short little boat ride, I guess. So, Hubskirt's looking great. Let's take a look at some of his analysis. I think this might be the one where this 1981 thing where he got the rook endgame. So let's take a look. Check this game, please, Jesse. Okay, here we go. Oh, you guys, now check it out. Here are the comments. This is a new feature, so just let me geek out on it a second. And this is really cool. Now, these comments might be general comments, and let's just go on and we'll see if we get some move by move comments. So, all right. So g6, great. I'm thinking I would like to do, we have these dojo repertoires, and after the madness of this month is over, I'd like to do a dragon repertoire, probably with the accelerated dragon. But one thing about the accelerated dragon is you have the option often to transpose back into the regular dragon. So my gut is that White doesn't really have any firm sense of what they're doing. And this kind of thing is common. One rule that Kostya developed that I really liked is bishop h6 is not a good move unless you're going to mate the guy, right? So, is White going to mate Black? He's got his own problems. And so now strategically, this move, bishop h6, commits White to castling long, really, or else it doesn't really make sense. We should also mention, though, that h6 is a fine move here. H6 gives Black White some real questions about what's going on in their lives. Can't go bishop f4. This one is met by knight g4, so you got to go here. Well, we got a lot of options after that, too. Anyways, castles, I think, is going to be okay. So taking, I think, is pretty frisky. I didn't like the other options since I still spend a tempo recapturing on g7 after he trades bishops. But your king will be useful on g7. So knight c6 comes to mind. And now knight b3. And you give an interesting variation here with castles, knight g4, queen d2, e5. I don't understand e5. Oh, I guess I do. I guess I do. Okay, time out. So this is controversial because queen h4, and now you have to deal with knight d5. So if e5, knight d5, and all, it has not gone well for us, right? Maybe I should continue this line for a second, though, because you could try queen c5. I don't like it, but you could try. It's definitely a little hot. I don't believe in this, though, for Black. h3 is a nasty move to deal with. I think we're lost. So let me just say, there's a phrase I like, and it's called inviting the vampire to the wedding, right? So when you take h6, you are inviting the vampire to the wedding. Yeah, now, it might still be playable, but definitely I would, if I was going to do it, I would want to play this move. Because if they take, then we dominate the knight on c3. It's still like, it's just playing with fire to invite the lady in, right? Okay, queen b6. Castles long has to be the move, has to. Knight b3. And let's just say a general problem in a lot of Sicilians is that we want to knock the knight from d4. And so here White is very much helping us do it like this. And you took on f2, and probably is pretty good. Well, it's just obviously a good move. Nice tactic. So, boom, boom, boom. A little weird to put it on g1, honestly. And now you say that this is a small advantage. Okay, let's see. My first thought is this should be winning. So, knight c6 makes sense. Bishop b5. Okay, key position. By the way, this is really cool. We have a nice, this guy's thinking long. Look at that. So they got more time to move forward. It's a beautiful, thank you, Jack. This is a beautiful time graph. Look at this thing. And so this is definitely a moment where we should spend some time. Right, he spends 16 minutes on this move. I got a coach who gets real mad at me if I spend more than 10 minutes on any move. So let's say it's a little surprising that we're having grief. And you play e6. If e6 doesn't work out, we could also consider e5. I have a lot of sympathy with e5 because I want to put my, just want to have my scope of my bishop open. So, but e6, if there's nothing dramatic here for white, then we're just doing fine. Knight e3. And you write about here. Very nice. Ooh, nice move, Kavutskiy. Very nice move. My plan here. So if you saw that from when you played e6, that was a very legitimate use of your time. Well done. Oh, dude, Kavutskiy, you're bringing it, boss. You're bringing it. Okay, knight e3 doesn't do it. It does, at least though, hinder our h6 knight for half a second. Okay, so knight e5. I don't have any problem with knight e5. Why are we playing a6 though? So first of all, I would call this, unless white has some tactical business, I would say this position is winning for you because he owes you a tempo over here. This bishop isn't doing anything. And you have this monster knight. And let's just say you're up a pawn. This pawn is also weak. So I would say this is a winning position. And my first instinct would definitely be this. And on knight c5, honestly, I don't know what he's doing. Let's bring our king in, right? Put our king there, and then we'll ask him why he's alive, right? We're gonna put our king on e7 and say goodnight. Yeah, sorry, buddy. Thank you for playing. Thank you for playing. All right. Yeah. So a6, I'm not sure about. Bishop e2. Rook d8, okay. Knight d2, king f8, okay. I like king f8. Now, notice, though, that since you play, it was only because you played a6 that knight c4 becomes an issue, because then you have to worry about b6, right? So, pop, pop. Now, we're still doing great, but this knight b6 is at least going to be a thorn. Good move. Good move. Okay. Now, what I want you to see about your next decision is that from my perspective, having looked at a gazillion games, the most common problem is people not fixing their bad piece, right? And so that's what this looks like to me when you play f6. Let's look at how you analyze knight g8. Here, here, knight c4. To me, this should be completely winning. And the simpleton move here would just be to play d5, right? Your knight e4 might also be reasonable. Knight e4, pop, pop, pop. And why don't we just play here and say, well, we should calculate a little bit. Calculate a little bit, yeah. Bishop d5, c4, rook takes, pawn takes, and then you say, welcome to the dojo, right? So this position is fully winning. All you have to do is fix your knight. That's it. Okay. F6. Okay, by the way, I mean, it's a little passive and stuff, but you're still fully in control. And he's not really threatening anything, right? Yeah. As long as E5 doesn't work, B5 seems fine. And then why are we doing knight E5, though? No. Bishop A8 for sure. Because his knight's dumb. Because his knight's a jerk face. You know? Our bishop is stronger than the knight, and our knight will go to E5 whenever it's ready. Yeah. So, no need for this. And he plays rook D4. I think for sure the guy should take on C6. After he takes on C6, he at least has dreams of holding the game with the bishop, right? Some kind of thing like here, and he doesn't have to worry about his pawn anymore. You have to worry about C4, A4, yada, yada. It's not so easy to make progress. So, looks like a mistake. And now bishop A8. Thank you, God. Whew. It's a close one. C3. Okay. There might be, I'm sure there's other moves, but let's just give that one a pass. King G3. Do I know where he's going? No idea. No idea where he's going. This is the most interesting position in the game to me. I discussed it with some others in the dojo, how to progress as black from here. Okay, I don't know what I am means. It looks like a typo, but that's okay. So, first of all, what is white doing? I don't know. If we think about white's position, I think he desperately wants to play knight B3 back to D4 or to D2. The knight needs a job. It's stuck over there right now. And so you guys analyze this. There's some talk about D5, some talk about knight F3. Now, the thing with D5 is, let's say, snip, snap. But you guys put that in here. That's a problem for me. I don't know what's happening there. So D5 doesn't, unless I'm missing some, that doesn't look right. Another move that we should just put out there is F5, right? And the point here is to say, similar to your knight F3 thing, it's just like here. I don't think F6 changes much, but let's just first take this way, and then here, and we're really hosing this guy. This guy's in pure pain. We're going to get the G file, we're going to get E5, the whole shebangers, right? And if he does the other way, like this, so knight F3, boom, boom, boom. I do want to be a little careful, but this position looks amazing with both bishop D5 and king E7. Okay. So just to mention F5. Your H5, I don't know if it's terrible. I think the way to think about it really is, what is white doing? I mean, like king G3, I don't even know. Do I understand what H5 is? I don't know if I understand H5. It might be good to tell me. Tell me what's the idea? What's the idea with H5? Yeah, and now this solution, knight F3, GF, and then D5, also looks very strong, of course. The knight on A5 is a chump. No one knows why he's there, right? Yeah, that looks very strong. And let's just remember the words of my sensei, Smyslov, and he says, bishops are better than knights when there are passed pawns running on opposite sides of the board, right? And so we are going to get that going on in this position. Okay, so I think knight f3 is interesting. I don't understand d5 yet. Maybe I'm missing something there. And definitely not knight c4. Definitely not, because we don't want to solve this chump. No lo quiero. Okay, so h5 looks a little weird. h3. Do I understand what either side is doing? I don't. I don't know what it does. Don't know what it does. And then he kind of encourages you now to play this move, which I suppose was part of your original intention. One thing I want you to see about White's play is that at no point did they think to themselves, oh, I should fix my knight. Buddy, your knight's all messed up, man. Try to do something with the thing. He's just marking time. A stronger player isn't going to mark time. And now you go for it. F5 looks, now you're crushing it. King F2. And you lay down the law here. Boom, 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 boom. Rook CD7. Now that move doesn't inspire confidence. It's maybe fine. It just doesn't inspire, like, White's crimes are so severe, right, that he deserves some pain. All right, let's do this one. Yeah, he loves King G1. So let me just stress that the problem with your opponent, and you'll get this kind of endgame player in other phases, you'll meet this same guy again, is they're not thinking about how to fix their poor pieces, right? So, for example, they're just, and then they kind of, no one knows what King G1 is about. At some point, they should have been thinking, like, the knight on A5 bows. Let's do something with the knight on A5. Okay, you play G3. Probably fine, but also when you think about it, there's no rush to that move, right? So Rook F8, that's kind of a hard move to me. Again, White is not thinking about their improving their pieces at all. C4, A4, something. Oh, that's just not the way you play chess here. So here, King E8. Okay, good. That's a good move, yeah. Or at least it looks like a good move. Finally, he plays knight b3. Sometimes it's like they don't figure out their bad piece until it's like, oh no, crisis, crisis. Now I'll fix him. All right, let's check this beautiful variation. I think we need to make one. Well, yeah. Let's just make sure. I guess we're gonna play here. And then next move here, but it's still a little bit spicy, isn't it? Now, I fully believe in your position here, but was it unnecessary? So let's look. King E8. Boom. 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 Knight E3, bishop D3. And you can see what I'm nervous about, right? I'm nervous about this snop and then this check. Okay. So, what are the ELOs of the players we're reviewing? We're in the 1900 cohort, I believe. So 1900 FIDE. though, Hupskirt has advanced a little bit past that in his own FIDE rating, but I think we're in the 1900 cohort now. So I don't know, Hupskirt. This at least we need to talk about this one. This is a little bit fishy, because bishop e4, he's got the famous rook e6. And the big news, I think, is that we got no rush. No rush in this position. So rook f4 rook f4, it's just forget about everything. Forget about it all. It's gone. Rook f2 is honestly a pain in the you-know-what as well, because he can't take. So I don't know if king e8 is necessary. Your opponent trusts you. And that looks amazing. And now you hit him with this thing, and it does look like it works. Now, I love seeing if I can understand Dutch. I don't know why, but let's just read this here. I think it's like, Ondenkbare Macht is threatened, I don't know, or is forced. Ondenkbare Macht. Unstoppable mate, uncoverable mate. All right, bishop e4. This is hopeless. Very nice. That's gotta hurt. That one's really gotta hurt. Oh, man. All right. And here's where dude scored a 7 out of 7. Very nice. And people are asking about ratings. That doesn't really tell us. That's okay. So we'll mark that as review. Good game, Hupskirt. I'm really pumped, dude, on both this graduation and also that you were the one who really went for it with the rook endgame progression. Hopefully, no, I'm going to say for sure, in 3.0, it's going to be much better. And we need it to just be more popular, right? Because then, like, for example, I didn't know if the Polgar mates thing was going to take off. I knew it was important to improve, but I didn't know it was going to take off. But then we had a lot of people in the Discord talking about how it was helping them. You see it on the graduation comments. And that kind of feedback loop is something you need in the program for people to be into something like this. Takes a lot of work. A lot of people are intimidated by the rook endgame. So you need somebody like Hupskirt being like, let me show you. Let me tell you, first of all, why it's important. Let me show you the game where I slayed this dude. And maybe you'll do it. Can I ask the ELO of the coach? I'm an old-time GM. I'm an old-time GM. Okay, so, which means my rating has fallen significantly. That's what it means. Let's go back, and we have one more. Chanchito. And Chanchito got the... I was going to say FIDE boost, but once you're up at the high 1900s, you don't really get a boost. Brazilian 50. Nice. Okay. Let's follow. Let's go clubs. No clubs. Activity. So maybe they started at the end of last year. We got one game against Darcy Lima, famous Brazilian player. It's funny, Darcy Lima's rating has fallen. So it kind of reminds me of myself, though that guy was much more famous, of course, than I ever was. So here we go. We're assuming here that our boy here is, of course, black. So let's flip this. Both players have 4 out of 4. Yeah, your opponent's definitely experienced. You're playing a legend, my friend. Yeah, good. Okay. Good move. I think that's okay. Right. And right, d4 could have been a headache. I think knight d7 is probably more prudent in this position. This is interesting. I'm not sure I get that move. So this goes down, and then he goes plop, plop. And you play bishop c5. So first of all, a lot of this has to do with your decision to play bishop g4 and h3, right? If you take, we might be able to play this position, but the key questions are going to be, are you going to get popped here? And is he somehow going to be able to open this diagonal? It's an interesting position. A little bit hard to, you say this position is okay for black. Yeah, it might be good to play a couple variations too, just to imagine what's going on here. So I don't understand, I don't quite understand what's going on in this one. So, for example, there's two options I would be interested in. I'd be interested in, or a couple. Does g6 work? Does bishop f8? How does that look? And, you know, because I want to put the bishop back anyway, knight d7. But why h6 is the thing that really kind of confuses me. Because, right, I lost the tempo, and now didn't help the situation for when we do take. Okay. So, interesting position. You go here. And yeah, he's giving you the standard business here. Bishop f8. Probably what, so notice that you lost a tempo on this. And now because he's an old dude, he makes a blunder. So, yeah, so g4, too fast, trying to just end your situation. White needs to be sensitive to the fact that the knight on h4 is poor. And one thing would be good is to just try to ask ourselves, what do we think white should have done? Because even though you've lost all this much time, he still has some questions to answer in this position, how to play it. So, for example, if he plays knight e3, which maybe is his best move, then g6 kind of stops him, right? Now, a gross-looking move, but maybe would be bishop f1. It's really a gross-looking move. But what's the point? We need this retreat. We could, of course, also move our queen, but when we the queen, he kind of, you can tell he wanted it to be there. So g4, exclam, pop. Now here, he might tell me, he'd be like, boss, I planned this. I planned this all, you know. Okay. So you snip on f5 and say some interesting stuff. In this diagram, I thought white compensated well for the lost piece, having in the end 2 pawns plus the attacks. However, my evaluation was not correct. At this point of the game, I was looking for moves that would reduce this attack. I did not consider any other candidate moves after discovering e4 probably getting me a draw. Okay. So, right, knight h7 looks pretty good. Yeah. Queen d8, I think, is similar. So we're just saying bishop h6, knight h7. And let's look at this. So knight h7, queen d8's kind of coming. So this. And intuition is that you're winning this. I'm going to say, yeah, you're winning this position, right? Okay, so e4, snip. Now it's going to be hard to deal with that nasty queen looking at you all the time. So, right, for whatever reason, you're not thinking about knight h7. You're trying to get a draw. And then he forces the draw with queen g5. Well, let's just say, we should at least have a variation for our friend here. Snip, snap. Is it 100% a done deal here? I don't know. This is something I would need to look at for a second before feeling confident about what's happening. Now, I don't know. This is a little hot. Maybe a good default for us is at the minimum, we could go like this and sack the piece back. I'm just looking for a minimalistic situation, right? And either the knight or the queen. And we're not, we're not worse. Anyways, if I was him, I would have thought about playing on. Okay, that was really great. In fact, what I want to do is I want to make my attempt at, well, first of all, this is my variation, so I don't think, do I get to comment on this? I don't understand. This is just my, I've never used this before, so could he play on with either rook f1 or rook takes and g5. Let's see if that works. Oh, no, I have to hit send. Send it, as the kids say. Send it. Oh, look at that. Let's say, I can edit it. That's cool because I want to edit it and put a question mark. Save. Oh, dude, this is amazing. So I think then this is kind of on there forever. And if so, let's say if I go so those are the only comments. And then if other people, I think you can show comments from the entire game, current position only. Oh man, Jack Boss. This thing is amazing. Really nice. Really nice. Okay.
Any chance I could get a quick review of my game versus I am Mark Esserman?
Sure, boss. Are you in the? Oh yeah, maybe you. Now I have to allow you to give me a link, or if you're in the Discord, you could send me the game, and then I gotta go. Then I gotta get. It's not in the group. I can drop it in here or send it. Try dropping it in here, and then I think I can allow it because they don't allow links, but then I can allow it. Ask a moderator. Click to show. Okay, I got it, boss. I got you. But entrepreneur, why don't you join the program? Wait. What are we doing, man? It's a blitz game? No, I'm not going to look at a blitz game, dude. I can't do it. I can't do it. Plus, all your analysis, dude. Watch, here's this thing. So let me just say, boss, come to the dojo. Come to the dojo, and we'll teach you how to do this. This is not it. This whole thing. Yeah. It's a blitz game, too. Why would we spend a lot of time looking at a game that you didn't think of, you weren't even allowed to think while you were playing it? Entrepreneur, come to the dojo, buddy. All right, everybody, that is it for me. And so I am going to raid somebody. And let's think about this for half a second. I'll be back at around 2:45 today. I can't stay that long, but but the other senseis are going to be around, and we're going to do the candidates. We're going to try to do coverage every day. And apparently, I've been told, we have sparked a culture war on Twitter because all those other clowns out there are using computer analysis, talking about the games, and we're then fast becoming the niche community where we look at the games without the engine. All right, my friends, here we go. Nice, Lewis, nice. So, let's raid GM Benjamin Book. That dude's probably doing some coverage as well. Oh, Portuguese stream with no engine. Interesting. That's cool. At least I tried, entrepreneurs. Entrepreneur, but come into the dojo. We'll take people. It won't just be me. There'll be other people looking too. All right, bye, everybody.